Welcome, my friend. After many years of specialized practices and integrative care with health and life challenges, I overcame. Now I live with boundless energy and creativity because each body is divinely designed to do its own healing when given the right food to slow the effects of aging in the cellular level. Instead of declining, we are regenerating. I call that optimized wellness and maximized living. Welcome to my show, 1 Degree Change. Hello. I hope you enjoyed the previous episode all about the vitamin B and the complex and the different types of vitamin Bs. Well, guess what? Today I am going to really expand on the idea about why we need supplement. And before we talk about supplements, it's important to know supplement is exactly what the word means. You supplementally add to your body what nutrients it needed in order to function. But beyond that, we don't realize what is robbing our body of the nutrients to begin with. We were born with a quality of health so that if we take a fall, we scrape our knees or even misalign the joints or even crack a skull, it will the body will actually help itself to heal because we have enough nutrients, whether it's from newborn baby growth and tissue to the breast milk to just being fed well as babies. But then once you get into the teenage years, when people get to do what they want to do instead of what they should do, or to keep up with the nutrient requirements for the body to function optimally. Remember, I'm talking about optimal wellness and maximize your life so that you can live a healthy life with adequate nutrition for your body to function top notch. And so, this particular episode, season 2, episode 8, I wanted to talk about why our body is so deficient. I call that we live in a culture of malnutrition, especially the Western society. We are so, let's just say, rich and sometimes spoiled with our appetite desires. We don't discern the seasons, the foods we eat, the state of health we are in. Although people are waking up, which is great, but you don't want to wait till a detrimental disease to get to begin to learn to pay attention to your body. If you don't have your health, you really don't have your wealth. No matter how wealthy you are, you can't enjoy what you have. So today's topic is about understanding the healthy landscape of the body and why it's becoming deficient. The overall health is one area that we need to focus on in overall health is to introduce to people in general why the body becomes so toxic. I call it the overall landscape of our body. And it almost always starts with the gut, but the landscape of the body is what I call, or in the naturopathic world, is called different pathways or avenues where bacteria, toxin that try to uh, eat up the nutrition, the food that that we eat. Say, for instance, we eat an orange. It's full of vitamin C's, but vitamin C is a very unstable uh, constituent that the body do not keep it for long, including vitamin B. So what do? We pay attention and become aware about toxicity. And I just want to give a very general introduction of our body when it's so toxic, so overloaded that guess what? We have brain fogs these days, sleep disruption, and also mal absorption. People will eat and eat, but their bowel movement really shows that the nutrients are either not assimilated in the gut area or it is undigested. And we all heard about diarrheas. Well, the other side of it is constipation. And so you don't want to be so constipated, it's all stopped up, and it actually create ammonia. Uh, that gas that comes out called bad breath. That's an indication there are toxic overload or undigested food in the stomach and unable to assimilate through the stomach to the liver to the gallbladder, and then it uh, goes into the large intestine and small intestine where nutrient is being absorbed. And why is that the case? Well, when the body is overloaded with toxin. So we're going to talk about what are toxins and where they stay. It mainly uh, uh, filters through the kidney. Remember the kidney? The kidney is where it filters urine and it eliminates all water soluble uh, waste. And that's why the urine, it has to go through and filter through the kidney. And you don't want it to backflow. And I'm using human language now. And we have two kidneys. And on top of the kidney is the adrenal glands. And when the adrenal gland is all stressed out because of emotions, because of watching the news, because of taking in all the emotional disruptive conversations or poor self-talk. And so when that happened, it always affects the adrenal glands. And then ultimately it affects the kidney. So the other portal or pathway is the lungs. Now we have one on each side that filters, expels everything that is volatile uh, to our body system, such as gas, such as our breathing, respiration. And that's why it's not even good environment to be in a secondhand smoker's atmosphere. And so that is part of what we call toxin that filling the lungs. And then ultimately, where would it show up? It shows up and it takes it out on your skin. And people may not be able to sweat well with skin congestion, such as heavy acne or rosacea. Uh, we naturopaths, when we look at the skin, the nails, the hair, we generally can tell if the body is congested. Is it congested with medications? That's another what we call toxic overload. And many of the medications, they are produced overseas in such a way there's not a lot of regulations. And even within this country, we now know it may sound like it's highly regulated, but there's no oversight. And there's not enough people to check uh, if the food source um, is adequate, and especially toxin. What are toxins? Toxins are like industrial uh, toxic film, especially if you are close to factories, depends on what they produce. Um, Plastic, uh, what we breathe in. And so there are a lot of considerations in this particular three portals or pathways that traps in toxins. So let's delve in a little bit more. What are toxins? They are lead, cadmium, mercury, arsenic. They are all over our food sources, in our cosmetics, um, even in our lipsticks. And so there are certain solutions that I am going to suggest so that you can have a higher level of awareness. Oh, that's why I feel so congested, brain fog, easily react to allergens, such as like now we have pollens in the spring. A healthy body actually can fend off all the allergens. Now I'm starting to see people allergic to different, like for instance, in earrings, some people, and I used to have that problem, I have to have pure gold or pure silver because the tissues that have been punctured, uh, no matter how old, they can become very, very sensitive or even allergic to the non pure metals, such as plastic. Now we have plastic mixed with, they don't even use pure silver anymore. And there are many things to pay attention to because our body is very electronic. So is very easily coming out of balance, and majority of the time we are not aware of it until a symptom show up. So what are some of the symptoms? Like I just said, acne, hair falling out, um, dry skin, excessive dry skin. It becomes itchy, and even patches. And what are some of the repercussion of toxin overload? Well, I wanted to bring attention to the word cancer, which is something we don't want to talk about. We rather that it just kind of leave our mind, which is correct. But if some of these toxic uh, materials that overloaded our body and uh, coming into all the avenues and pathways that go into our cells, eventually it can lead to cancers. It's a horrible word, and all of us are associated with someone who has have uh, cancer or maybe have died from it. I recently have two people within the last 3 months have passed on because of late stage cancer. And one of the person that passed with late stage cancer, she had already previously spent over close to $100,000 worth in 3 years of trying to supplement, and got healed. But 4 years later, the cancer raged back. Why? It is possible. I can never say definitively. It is possible that there is toxic overload, that the body, all the receptors in all the organs and cells have not been cleared. So, in today's society and today's lifestyle, can we clear ourselves of all the toxins? And let me tell you some of the pathways or indicators, or in everyday language. How do we eliminate and where do we eliminate these things? So before I go any further, let me pause for a second and introduce you to a testimony. I call it my commercial about how I came back from 3 major health, I call it literally like an attack in my wellness. But this particular testimony is post a brain injury. Cognitively, I was so deficient that I thought, I'm just going to keep working. I thought I feel really good. And it was an accident. A piece of luggage flew and hit my head from a department store, and I was seeing stars. After that, a little over 2 years, I went through hell on earth. So I want you to hear this testimony and how I got back into shape. And today, I feel very grateful about being healthy and whole, and I do not take hardly any medications, although I do need to adjust my thyroid every now and then. But I take quality supplements to on a preventive basis, and I do my very best to eliminate toxic overload. So watch this. Hi, Dr. Mary Axness here. At age 72, I finally retired. And guess what? I wrote a book. It's called Optimize Wellness and Maximize Life. And you know what? God healed me from 3 major medical challenges. One of them was a serious brain concussion injury over 10 years ago. And the doctor said there's nothing they can do other than just sit on the porch and rock. That didn't sit well with me at all. So I do what I knew best to do. Eat myself back to health, plus co-labor with God, and did a lot of study and understand how to feed the brain well and recover. Now I can say, order this book. I'm going to have classes over this too. And come along and grow young with me. Retirement is just a new chapter. Welcome back. I'm excited to explain a little more about the pathways and what part of our bodies that we need to eliminate toxin. So let's talk, what are really toxins? They're occupational toxic materials that I had talked about. Mercury is everywhere, is in our silver fillings, and most dentists don't even admit that. And especially people our age, we have some mercury fillings after they clean up the dental decay. Well, a lot of times they may not clean up the decay well enough before they put the filling in, or after they put the filling in, they didn't realize, nutritionally speaking, the mercury filling, if it stay intact, is great. But when you eat hot food, soup, coffee, hot tea, the fumes that come out of that mercury filling is a toxin and is a brain disruptor, and especially is in the head area. So you see, um, you can get it checked. Not everybody has to remove all the silver fillings, but be careful. And if you have a lot of brain fogs, and now, even though the medical community will never admit that mercury could be uh, part of the cause of Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, uh, even brain tumors. It is not possible for us to go to find blame. So the best way is to take good care of yourself by eliminating these toxic overload. People may not even realize, oh, well, smoke. Um, it may not even be cigarette smoke. It could be from a fireplace. And it's just a wise thing for us to be careful what we breathe in, what we eat, and make sure by elimination. What is elimination? Remember, in previous uh, episodes, I keep saying how grateful I am, how grateful we are. If we can eat, sleep, poop, pee, sweat, swallow, those are things that will be disrupted if you have toxic overload. For instance, sleep. People think, oh, well, I am just, I eat well, I run, I exercise. So I said, how about your sleep? Sleep is easily disrupted when they have toxic overload, or people are unable to dream. When you do not dream, you are not clearing your thought life during the day. Now, I made it too simple, but if you're able to dream and able to wake up and remember your dreams, that's a good thing. That means your system is working well. Because there are so many people, when they get up in the middle of the night, they can't get back to sleep, or they have difficulty falling asleep, especially in today's 5G uh, in the airwave. They are all over because we don't see it. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It disrupts our body's natural uh, functions, and also each organ, each cell, there are receptors where nutrients can go in, and it can also filter out waste products. And when nothing can come in and bad stuff cannot go out, that's when people are very tired. They say, I have no energy. I am exhausted. That is also part of the reason to ask yourself questions. Where did my body receive all this toxic overload that caused my body not to be able to function optimally? So let's consider three pathways to eliminate toxins. We're talking about the cellular. I touched on it a little bit. It is crucial to make sure our skin, our tissues, our organs that do not trap mucus. Mucus is what leads to inflammation. Uh, our endothelial tissues, like inside the mouth, the nasal area, the ears, and the chest, when you swallow, it's all connective tissues there. And when they don't function well, it affects the organ and it produces mucus. such as, cough and phlegm and all that, when it does not have a chance to expel those properly, guess what? It turns into inflammatory response. It affects all the other organs. And then our immune system. And how do we reduce the burden? Our immune system is fascinating. It's also very compounding. Remember, we heard about when you do your blood work, is the cytokine, the white blood corpuscles, the T cells. Those are cells designed by the body, created by the Creator to fight and to sustain a healthy homeostasis immune system. So when you have a flu, a cold, generally you can get over it real quickly. However, when people take a lot of antibiotic, uh, though now the healthcare system is a little bit cautious now, not easily prescribe any antibiotic. But if you fall, if you break a bone, you have to have some adjunct or uh, uh, antibiotic, especially during surgery. So our immune system is precious. I would caution all of us just to guard against it, because it's the system within our innate uh, design to fight off toxic waste, mucus building, and it goes after inflammations. And so the last thing I want to talk about, when we do eliminate as much as possible toxic buildups, then we have vitality, we have energy, and a lot of times it even changes our overall attitude. When you see people healthy, they laugh, they smile, their eyes just sparkle, and you can tell they are very energetic. And also, very rarely do they feel sluggish, meaning, oh, they're just dragging their body. Nothing sound good. They don't talk about anything that's fun. Very negative and even cynical. That can be an indication that there is toxic overload within the physiology. So, all that said, I want to say, I want to conclude this episode by letting you know I'm going to talk a little more in the upcoming episodes about eliminating toxins and what are some of the best ways. So listen up for episode number 9. I'm going to be talking a little bit about fasting and different types of fasting. That's one way of eliminating toxins that are blocking our uh, uh, body landscape. And I call it, just like when you build a house, you want to make sure the drainage is well. That's what I mean by landscape. Your brain, your gut, your chest, your filtering system. So let's close this by being very grateful, because our body is wired to do its own healing when we give it the right stuff and eliminate the bad stuff. So I'm just grateful. And every night, I hope you join me and practice this grateful step. I call it my prayer or meditation, and follow me as you come along. Father God, I just thank you, thank you, thank you that you have helped me avoid several close calls yesterday, and my family get home all safe. And I get to go to bed in my nice, comfortable bed and become grateful. Thank you for keeping my body healthy, and that is my state of wealthiness. Until next time, I will see you Monday evening, 8 p.m. Eastern, and my replay on the 1 Degree channel is also 8 p.m. on Wednesday Eastern time zone. So good night. Bye bye. Thank you and God bless.